Hello everybody, this is Dr. Vasquez, and apparently this is my second video of the day. Today is January 5th, 2023, and I'm going to make this quick spontaneous video with the subject of this video being my handwriting. And not simply my handwriting, but your handwriting as well. And the reason I'm doing this is for two different reasons. So I am going to write a few things, even though my battery is really low right now. I'm at 4%, and that's probably not going to last too long, but I'll try to keep this short. As far as my own handwriting goes, my own handwriting is very unique to me. It's a mixture of cursive and print. So it's kind of my own Vasquez font, I suppose. I remember when I was in grade school that Mrs. Mize, was her name? I think her name, she was, I believe she was from Mexico originally. So this was in Houston, Texas. Her name may have actually been maize as in corn, because that's the pronunciation of corn in Spanish is maíz. That may have actually been her name. But anyway, we called her Mrs. Mize at the time. That was kind of the Americanification of maíz. And I may be wrong about her name, but I think it may have actually been that. Anyway, I remember she called me and called me out in front of the class one day, and she said, your handwriting is a mixture of print and cursive. And it is. That was in the 6th grade, actually. So, and it still is. So when you see me writing notes, you'll see a mixture of cursive and print, and that is my handwriting. The other thing I want to say about my handwriting is it's obviously better when I pay attention to it, and it's obviously worse if I'm multitasking or, trying to process ideas and write at the same time. And it's also worse if I don't feel well. Like if my health isn't like right on track, then my handwriting goes, of course, downhill as well. So I think that's all I want to say about my own handwriting. What I want to say about my handwriting and your handwriting is that I think handwriting is underappreciated, and that we should start using our handwriting more. And that's why I'm starting to integrate handwriting into my presentations. So far, this is completely empty, which is, I suppose, a bit ironic on a short video on the topic of handwriting. What I think, and I guess I'll say this from my own perspective. As someone who teaches, I need to be able to teach without having slides all the time, right? I can't just tie myself to a slide projector or to PowerPoint all the time, or to referencing notes, or like articles, for example. I need to be able to actually sit down and communicate with real people in real time. If I have a whiteboard, or if I have a notepad, or if I have a napkin in a restaurant or whatever. And the teaching that I've done over the last, just in the recent 2 or 3 years, I've tried to encourage people to do the same. And that is, don't rely on my presentations. These were people who were using a lot of my teaching materials, but I was trying to teach them to not be dependent on my materials, on brochures or handouts or slides or videos. I was telling them, you need to be able to sit down with someone and communicate what it is you're trying to communicate, independent of having brochures or my videos or my books or whatever. You need to be able to sit down and explain stuff to people, on a wide range of topics, so that you're the expert. If this is kind of a negative thing, and it's not really true to say this, but the kind of the atmosphere around this comment is, as an expert, you don't want your expertise to be your slide deck. You want your expertise to come from you as an expert, not from the fact that you worked for 5 years to make a great slide presentation and then just go in front of an audience and read off of your slides. That is a form of expertise, of course, but it's not really a dynamic and interactive form of expertise. So, all of us, when we're teaching someone else about whatever, we are the expert of that moment, and we need to be able to teach them wherever we are. Again, if it's a restaurant, or if it could still be a conference, but we don't all walk around with our PowerPoint slides and our graphs and our diagrams and all that. So we need to actually be able to sit down with another human being or stand with them or whatever and say, look, this is what I'm trying to communicate to you. I'll draw it out for you on a napkin or a piece of paper, and then you can take that with you so that you get, the message that I'm giving you, and you also get a second chance, so to speak, to sit and reflect on whatever that is. So, uh, again, that's why I'm trying to integrate more handwriting into my presentations, so you can see how it kind of comes out. The ideas come out that is organically, right? And that's to make the material more human, even if at times my handwriting might appear, somewhat extraterrestrial. Trust me, it is human, and I'm trying to make the material more accessible, even if it appears to be written in, hieroglyphics. I'm sure you can still make out what I'm saying, and I do think that the visual representation of the words does help. And of course, I want my handwriting to improve as I go through this exercise. It's just that, like I and like you and like many of us, most of us, I'm sure we have a few exceptions among us, but most of us don't write anymore. Even to take little notes, a lot of us use voice to text apps, or we use some type of digital voice recorder or something like that. So I think that, we as a human society are becoming less accustomed to actually writing our ideas, manually writing them, not typing them, not doing a dictation, not simply doing a recording, but actually, communicating as one human to another human, even if it's somewhat indirect through the medium of, digital communication, so to speak. But anyway, that's what I wanted to communicate. And paradoxically, I haven't written a thing, even though I do have my digital pencil. Oh, the other thing about writing on a screen is there's very little, and I realize that we have ways to get around this, but for the setup that I have, it's very little friction. So as I'm writing, the pen tends to slide around a bit, and so the handwriting is a little bit harder to control. I realized I could get like a texture to put on my screen to make it more paper-like, but I don't really have a desire to buy every gizmo and gadget on the market. So this has been my spontaneous presentation on is it R-A-T? Handwriting. The other thing that you just noticed is that even to this day, trying to fix that. Why isn't this working? Is that going to work? Yeah, that works. I'm a phonetic speller, so it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy for me as I handwrite. That was good. It's crazy for me to observe myself at times as a phonetic speller. Even though I got diplomas, handwriting. I guess maybe I'm more of a visual speller, which I have to write it and then see if it's right or wrong and then make a correction. But I am such a phonetic writer that I even write the word of. A lot of times I'll type it out as OV, and then I have to, I just chuckle at it and I have to correct it. But obviously I'm a super hyper phonetic speller. Like, I spell it as I sound it out and as I hear it. And, I'm right. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this thing. My spelling of is actually correct. It's not oof. You don't say, no one looks at that and says oof. They say of. So maybe in addition to having my own font, I'll have my own dictionary, kind of like Ambrose Pierce or Bierce. Sorry, not Pierce, Bierce. But anyway, there it is, handwriting and phonetic spelling. That's me. Let me see if I have enough battery. I got 1% battery left. So let me see if I'll give you one more story in case you want another story. I actually had to take a remedial, reading class when I was in high school. And I don't think it was because I was a bad reader, but I was just a slow reader. And I'm damn proud to be a slow reader. And I'm still a slow reader. And I want to be a slow reader. And it's because I look at every word. I mean, you can see this in the video critiques and the analysis that I do. I mean, when I read and when I listen to people, I'm listening for every word they say, you know, and especially true in, you know, politics and nutrition and science. And now I guess we have a new meaning of the word political science now because science has become so politicized. But I'm a slow reader, and I was penalized for that when I was a kid because they said, "Well, you're a bad reader." They equate slow with bad, but actually, slow just in my case just means careful. So I'm a careful reader and writer, and phonetic, and I mix text with cursive, and sometimes I have to write it out before I see if it's right or wrong. But that's all. That's all of that's okay with me. So anyway, I'm going to start using my handwriting. I hope it improves, and I encourage you to use your handwriting so that we can kind of rehumanize, you know, some of our communications. That's my second video of the day. Hope you're all doing well, and I'll chat with you soon.